We don't have an opioid problem here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's coming through here, but we don't have that problem. We don't have a meth problem here, but it's coming through here, but it's going to your neighborhood. We don't have an MS-13 problem. It's in Virginia, Maryland, DC. Comes through here, but it doesn't stay here. So people need to wake up and understand that what happens down here doesn't affect them today, but it doesn't affect us tomorrow. It affects them tomorrow. I'm an agent down here in the McAllen area. We're in the Rio Grande Valley. It's one of the busiest areas in the nation. Recently, Tucson has taken over as the busiest, but if you look at the Texas map, we're about 60 miles in from the tip of Texas. For the longest time, for the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years, we had the unfortunate distinction as the busiest. Del Rio's obviously been really busy here lately, and now Tucson is back on top, or bottom, depending on how you look at it. They're getting massive increases. The traffic patterns have shifted. Usually it's still very busy here in Texas. I mean, you have El Paso obviously is very busy. The Del Rio area and the Rio Grande Valley area is extremely busy. It's just that Tucson is just that much more busy. Asylum seekers, whether or not they qualify for asylum, they come in, they turn themselves in. This gate behind me, they'll just walk up in big numbers, 50, 60, 70 people at a time saying they want asylum. We take them into the station, they know they're gonna get released, and we release them into the country. We also have what we call runners. Those runners are people that are trying to get away to actively avoid apprehension. The gotaways are the ones that we don't succeed in apprehending. Our numbers for the fiscal year since October 1, I think we're around 375,000. You contrast that with the previous administration. We were looking at maybe a busy month would be 30 to 40,000. Obviously the numbers are way up than what they should be. Gotaways, anywhere between 20 to 50% of those we apprehend in gotaways. Now you have the actual gotaway number that gets reported, and then what's actually out there. There's a lot of places where we're undermanned or unmanned, and so there's nobody out there to track the foot sign, to follow the groups or see it on camera. So if we don't know about it, how do we know for sure what got away? It's a very high number. It's higher than it's ever been, and that's what we know about. There's also a lot that we don't know about. The scary part is you don't know who you're not catching. Obviously you have the usual, the regulars, the Central and South American countries, but then you also have Romania, you have China, you have Russia, you have Sri Lanka, you have India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, you name it, they're coming through here. We're over here in Mission, Texas, and if you look at this area right here, you'll see in some areas you can see the holes just plain as day. They're in the open, and then other spots you'll see, like right there by the telephone pole, there's a hole. There's another one over here, and so there's just so many spots they can come out, and it's just the sheer magnitude of the traffic that we get here. It's just insane. You can't put ground sensors in an area like this. I mean, you can, but you're only going to pick up a small portion of the traffic coming through, because it's just so riddled with crossings that there's no way to, unless you have somebody sitting here 24 hours a day watching it, and right up next to the road, to load up in a car before you can get here. It's mixed. The community's real friendly with us as far as Border Patrol agents. They're real supportive of law enforcement, of the military, but at the same time, a lot of people turn a blind eye to illegal immigration. They look at it as kind of like running a stop sign. People don't really care much about it, but then it starts to get out of control like it is now, and then walls are starting to go up and isolate communities, and now people are upset. Crime's starting to rise. We've never had homelessness in the Rio Grande Valley before. Very, very limited spots. Now you're seeing a lot more of that, and a lot of it is due to the recent crossings. People turn a blind eye to it until it gets out of control, then everybody's upset, but nobody wanted to do anything when it was in its infancy. These people are actively trying to get away for whatever reason. Either they don't have an asylum claim, or they have some type of criminal record either in their home country or here in the United States that's going to prevent them from being able to take advantage of the asylum process. We're seeing upwards of maybe 10,000 crossings a day. Sometimes it's in the 6s, sometimes in the 15s, but average 8 to 10 a day. So obviously that's a lot bigger than, you know, many small towns in this area. There's a lot of towns in this area that only have 2,000. But if you look at our monthly apprehensions are what, 130,000, 140,000, sometimes 200,000. The population in McAllen is 142,000. It kind of makes me laugh when cities like New York are crying that they have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. We've seen that in a week down here, just in one area. Tucson sees 15,000 a week, and these guys are complaining about what, and they have a lot more resources than a town like Mission, Texas, or McAllen, Texas, or Granjeno, which is, you know, maybe 2,000, maybe less than 1,000 people. Most people they're allowed to stay in the country pending an asylum hearing, even though from the surface they don't have an asylum claim, just based on what they tell you. They live in a bad neighborhood, they're coming looking for a job. Those aren't asylum claims, yet that's what they're telling us. And instead of having these asylum officers at the front of the process vetting people to, okay, you're going back, you're staying here, pending a hearing, we're letting everybody stay. It's overwhelming the system, and nobody's doing anything about it. You don't want somebody to come across and do harm to this country. You know, what happened years back in San Bernardino was 1, 2 people. You only need one person to really mess things up in this country, whether it's a terror attack, or it could be a pedophile, it could be a serial killer, it could be anything. It could just be just a bad person in general. We don't need that. We have enough people that were born here that are bad people. We don't need to import anymore, especially with a terror attack. And it's likely to happen. I mean, we don't know, we can't see into the future, but we don't want it coming in on our watch. I think for the most part, most people in America think, well, that's happening down on the border. It doesn't affect us, you know, what do we care? What people need to understand is very few people that cross stay here in this area. We're in a sense, it's like a parade. We're on the sidelines of the parade watching it go by, and it's going to your neighborhood. We don't have an opioid problem here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's coming through here, but we don't have that problem. We don't have a meth problem here, but it's coming through here, but it's going to your neighborhood. We don't have an MS-13 problem. It's in Virginia, Maryland, DC. It comes through here, but it doesn't stay here. So people need to wake up and understand that what happens down here doesn't affect them today, but it doesn't affect us tomorrow. It affects them tomorrow. What's different about the state of Texas is the state of Texas is actively involved in solving this problem. As a Texan, I'm proud to see that the National Guard's coming down here, that, you know, different agencies are coming down here, DPS, you know, even other police forces from around the state are coming in to help out, which is great for us. Maybe not so much for their home community that's being left open to other crimes, but as an agent, I'm kind of, you know, it's a little embarrassing that somebody else has to come in and help you do your job, but as a Texan, I'm proud to see that other Texans coming in and helping out and helping us get this problem where the federal government won't do anything. As far as the mental health aspect goes, it's, you know, obviously suicide's a big problem in the Border Patrol, it's a big problem in law enforcement, but it's also starting to hit National Guard that are coming down here to help us, and I think the effects of the PTSD, the cumulative PTSD that it has on our agents and those helping us, it's starting to stack up. We see a lot of things that most people, we wouldn't want them to see. Young kids dead from exposure, women, children that have been violated along their journey. It tends to stick with you, and it doesn't go away. And over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it starts to take its toll on the mind. That's one thing that's left out. Obviously, with the military, you have the PTSD issue, and, you know, which is bad. But the good thing is when they come back from deployment, somebody is watching over them and watching to look for these signs. With law enforcement, nobody's watching out for these signs, you know, and it's something that accumulates from your first day on the street or in the field till your 20th year, and little by little, you know, it's far more dangerous to that individual than a stint in the military, and it's very concerning, and I think that needs to be addressed. It sounds kind of cliche, but, you know, your vote matters, whether it's on the local level or the national level. You got to get people in there, and on top of that, you know, these members of Congress need to be a little willing to work on both sides. I mean, immigration shouldn't be a political issue. The lives of kids shouldn't be a political issue. It shouldn't be a red or a blue issue. It's a humanitarian issue, and we need to secure this border. for people coming in with ill intent, for drugs coming into this country. But we also need to solve this problem, this issue with the women and children coming in, because bad things happen to them on the way. Our agents don't want people to come in. It's not because we don't like these people. It's not like we don't want you in our country. It's we don't want these things to happen to you on this journey. And the only way for that to stop is for you to stop coming, because bad things will happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It will happen. And we don't like to see that suffering.